Hello everyone, we're gathered again to watch another video. This one is lesson 23 and it covers the review for exam 2. Exam 2, if you haven't noticed, is 100% chapter 5. So if you know chapter 5 very well, you're probably going to do well on the exam. So let me add here lesson 23, which is exam 2 review continued. We're going to continue. All right, so here's our header files. We know what those are from way back at the beginning of the semester. This is so you can use CIN and COUT. This is string variables, so you can use those. And this is for files, so you can work with files. Using namespace std, here's your function main start and the little curly brace to start the function. Then it says create an output file variable called ofile. Think about it. What would it look like? Okay, how would you do that? Well, I already have it up here. I just put it way down so that you wouldn't immediately look for the answer. OF stream, so it's output file stream. This is our data type. And the variable we wanted to use was ofile. I could use any variable as long as it follows variable rules. So output file stream ofile would do this. It creates an output file variable. This is a data type, and it says this variable is going to be an output file. That's what that means. This variable right here is going to be an output file. This says it's an output file. This is the variable. Okay. Open a file for output called moviepirates.txt. So you're going to output and create a file called moviepirates.txt. What would that statement look like if you were to open a file for a document called moviepirates.txt, an output file? Try it. Try to type it before I show it to you. It's good practice. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. You would have the variable ofile.open and then the name of the actual file that holds the information. Moviepirates.txt, and that's inside quotes and parentheses. And of course, you have your semicolon, meaning that's the end of the statement. Okay, hope you got it right. Practice these things so you can answer these questions. We do not create the output file. When your program runs, it will create the output file for you. That's why it's an output file, just like the data goes to the screen when you run your program, right? So when you run your program, it goes to a file instead of the screen. Or you could have it do both, as you saw in previous assignments. All right. Now, we also do not check to see if it was found. So create an input file variable, a file. So we don't, what I mean by this right here, you don't check to see if the output file was found. You don't have to because the system creates it for you, right? So you shouldn't have to check. The program itself creates it. Now create an input file variable called a file. How would you do that? Try it by yourself. here it is. It's coming. There it is. IF stream, input file stream, is our data type because we said it would be an input file variable, right? So this is our variable. We said the input file variable A file. So here's our variable A file, and then we have to declare it as an input file stream. That's it. We declared it. Therefore, we created an input file variable called A file. Okay? Open a file for input called pirate.txt. Try it. Try to open it. Okay, did you get it? Here it is, afile.open. So that's our variable, right? Here's our variable. We used our variable .open, and then the name of the file. The name of the file is pirate.txt, and we put it in quotes and parentheses. Now this one, because it's an input file, you have to create it, and that means that it has to exist. So now you want to ensure your input file was found, because if someone forgot to create the file or something happened to the file, your program won't run. So how do you code that? I'll give you a few minutes to try to code to ensure the input file was found. Here it is. If not a file is open, a file is our input file variable, right? If not a file is open, so that means if it's not open, then cout input file not found. Some pirate stole it. System pause so that you see it, and return a 0, which ends the program, stops the program. Okay? So there we go. That's the solution. Then here we declare a couple of variables. First name, fname for first name. It's a string variable. We declare it a string variable. And then we have lname, last name. We declared that a string variable as well. Write the code to read an unknown number of names from your input file. So we know that we got first name and last names. We're going to read it from our input file, and we need the code to read it. All right? And we don't know how many names there are. So we know we need a loop so we can read over and over again. But we need a way to tell if we're at the end of our file with all those names, right? You remember that? We've discussed it before. So you should try to do that. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, you should have it written down or typed in by now. So while not a file is the end of file, in other words, while it's not at the end of file, as long as there's data, Okay, keep looping. That's what this while loop says. While not at end of file, keep looping. Then it says a file, so input file, first name. A file was input file. So this is the same thing as CN. CN, the first name. CN, the last name. Only you're getting the information from a file. A user is not typing on the keyboard. So it reads the first name, then the last name. Then we see out to the screen, first name, a colon, and then first name. See out to the screen, last name, colon, and then the last name. And then this O file is an output file. So output file, first name, and then the first name, and then output. So this is the same as C out, just like this was the same as C in. And we created these at the first of this program, remember? So this is output file. It's been declared as an output file stream, right? So that system knows what that means. Output file stream variable O file, first name, F name. So it will write that to a file. Up here we told it what the file name would be, and it was Famous Pirates or something. Let me look. Moviepirates.txt, right? So it would create that file. And then whenever we work with files, we have to close them at the end of our program, right? When we're done, when we're finished using them. Now, it might be before the end of your program when you finish using them. But at some point after you're finished using them, you must close these. And this is your input file dot close, and input file name variable dot close, and 2 parentheses and a semicolon. Output file variable dot close and your parentheses and a semicolon. Okay, so that should get this program to run. So I've already created my input file, and I have it here somewhere. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick. All right, so here's a folder. I call it data files, and I create all these files for these programs. And this is, I used a notepad. I used Notepad, and if I open that up, you'll see the file. Now notice I called it lesson 23. So I just took this file, and I have all these names here: first name, last name, first name, last name, first name, last name, first name, last name, etc. Okay, so what I did, I copied. So I use copy, right? And I'm going to minimize that. I go to this little folder up here next. See this little floppy disk? To the left of it is a little folder. If I double click that, in here I pasted. So I just Control V to paste it. And then I know it's a TXT file because it says text document, right? And it has these tiny lines on it, tiny little lines. I right clicked and renamed it to pirate. Why did I rename it to pirate? Well, because I need it to match what I said the file name was. If you look at our program up here, file name is pirate.txt. That's our input file.open, pirate.txt, and I needed my file to match this. So now if I run it, build, okay, no errors, run it, there they are. It's on the screen, correct? You see first name Jack, last name Sparrow, first name Captain, last name Hook. Okay, and if I open the folder where all my files are kept, notice Movie Pirates was the name of the output file. I did not create that file. When I ran my program, it was created. And if I were to open this, it would look like exactly what we had on the screen. First name Jack, last name Sparrow, first name Captain, last name Hook, etc. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to you. So that's the end of lesson 23A. So be sure and watch lesson 23B.